Hey everyone, and welcome back to It's a Cold World. Today, you're just stuck with me. We got a big solo ep. So much has been happening. First of all, I got to start with, if you haven't checked out my latest episode that popped up last week with Angel Reese, go check it out. I did a collab with Cut to the Jace with Jason Kadee, with basketball.com.au. And we were lucky enough to chat with the iconic WNBA superstar, Angel Reese. It was short, it was sweet, but it was a really good listen. So if you haven't, go back and check it out. I've also been doing a lot of gallivanting as well as a lot of working in the basketball world. Something else that was pretty cool was Summer Jam 2026. So super fun. I got to host that event as well as just go and enjoy the vibe. And Summer Jam is a vibe. Not only was there basketball, but what I love about Summer Jam, it's all about the culture. So we had cool fits. We had Foot Locker, Jordan, Maybelline. They were all sponsors of the event. It was absolutely insane. There were ex-NBA superstars there like Lance Stevenson, JaVale McGee, as well as we had great players from Australia, international, all playing on the stage. And again, it was at Peanut Farm Reserve, not far from where I live. So it's amazing to go see just basketball. It was street ball come together. It was a vibe. Go check that out if you haven't already as well. Make sure you get your tickets for next year because honestly, you don't want to miss out. And then also was lucky enough to attend the Gazies, the NBL Awards night. And that was absolutely insane. Everyone looked beautiful, very dapper. And a big congrats to Bryce Cotton, who won his 6th MVP. Absolutely insane. So he's one off equaling Andrew Gaze, who has 7 MVPs. So if Bryce Cotton wins 7 and 8, do they call it the Gazies and Cotton or do they just change it to the Cotton? What happens there? But it was so great to see old faces. And again, congrats to all the award winners. But now, let's dive right into it. Last time we spoke before Angel Reese episode, we were having semi-finals. What was going on? Well, let me give you a quick rundown. Perth beat Bendigo in a 2-game semi-final series. They definitely the in-form team. And then we had the likes of Fire versus the Southside Melbourne Flyers. That was interesting. First game, Townsville absolutely blew Flyers out of the park. Then they went home to Melbourne and then Southside Flyers, they absolutely blew Townsville out of the water. So it was all down to game 3. And that was a great quality game of basketball, but Townsville Fire came out on top. So now here we are. And last night I was able to commentate the first game of the grand final series, Perth Lynx versus Townsville Fire. Because the Fire finished first on the ladder and Perth was second, Townsville had the home court advantage. One difference as well that I don't know if it's a pro or a con. Still trying to figure it out. So Townsville, they only had 4 nights at home. They didn't have to travel, but because they went to game 3, they had less period of rest as well as, scout and prep time. Then when you compare Perth, they had 8 days of rest, so double the time. They had some niggles. Again, more preparation for scout on Fire. But here's where I'm like, ooh, what's better, what's worse? You've still had enough rest time, Fire, but you've just played a game more recently. You're sort of in rhythm, whereas not playing a game for 8 days, that doesn't happen in regular season. So sometimes you come out and you're a bit dusty. So interesting to see, but now I want to go through a rundown of these two teams and what last night looked like. And again, if you haven't watched the game, these two teams have been, along with Bendigo Spirit, have been the masterclass of WNBL 25-26. And last night was just a great game to show and to prove why these two teams finished on top. Great caliber athletes. The players are amazing, but just the way they play basketball, it's chef's kiss. So this is how crazy the rivalry is, though, between these two teams. So it has been defined the last 3 seasons. In 2023, Townsville eliminated Perth in the semi-finals and went on to win the championship. And that stings. Losing in the semi-finals, I know it hurts. In 2024, Perth returned the favour in a semi-final sweep, but they didn't go on to win the championship. In 2025, Townsville again ended the Lynx campaign, but this time Townsville, they lost to the Bendigo Spirit. So the history is recent and it is personal. They know each other's game inside and out. And a lot of them have the same core group. And I will say they have the vets, they have the experience to show up in these situations. So, a few things you think in the first quarter of a grand final series game one, it's going to be a little bit nerve wracking. There might be a few turnovers. None of that. These two teams came out. It was high octane. It was up and down. People were getting shots up. There was good defense. Honestly, it was a great first half. People would throw punches, the other team would throw one back. You couldn't really pick it in this first half. One thing, though, is the 3-point shooting from both these teams. It was really down in this game. And so, what I was super impressed by is that Townsville found a way to get inside the paint and get easy shots. And I said before the game, Townsville Fire, they need their guards to penetrate, get 2 feet in the paint, because Perth and Hangzhou, they're always in a drops on pick and roll defense. So go and attack, use your head fakes, your shot fakes, either shoot your mid-range game that's wide open or draw Hangzhou to you and get a little dish to your bigs rolling down. And they were absolutely phenomenal on this. So a few stats to finish the game that I thought was quite interesting is Townsville won the rebound count 45 to 37. They need to do that in order to win the game. For me, one, you need to stop at Annalie Maley. That's the rebound queen. But as a team for Perth, you need to stop them. And it's not only about the first rebound, but it's stopping getting their second chance opportunities. And if you take that away, you take away one of their greatest assets to the game, which is their extra possessions. And then what I love is that you had the perimeter on perimeter, Woods, Soa versus Atwell, Wilson. And I will say both of them did pretty good job of shutting down the shooters. A lot of them had to go inside, finding the paint. So their 3-point shooting percentage, Townsville was 25% and Perth was 31%. So again, it shows we know these teams have prolific scoring power outside the 3-point line, but it just didn't show up. But then in the second quarter, right before halftime, Soa makes one. Atwell goes down the other and makes some. Then Soa goes and makes another one. Graham then hits another one. It was absolutely insane. They really turned up and turned out. One other thing that I found impressive and very interesting was the free throw attempts. Like I said, Townsville did a great job of getting inside the paint. They had 23 attempts compared to Perth's 12. They really settled for outside shots. And as well, Hangzhou, 6'11" Hangzhou. They definitely need to get her the ball more. She didn't have enough inside catches. She was getting it a lot at the elbow. But again, credit to Townsville's defense. Alicia Froling was great. She picked right back up where she left off an amazing. She got player of the series for sure, again, in that semi-final series. But she was making Hangzhou's life hard. And when we go into the next game, I definitely think Hangzhou will be a bigger focus for the Perth Lynx. Hangzhou and Annalie Maley, they were both the players for Perth in their semi-final series win. So Shu was averaging the 18.5 points per game, 9 rebounds, 2.5 blocks. And Maley was averaging 23 points and 13.5 rebounds. And in game 2, she made 3 of 6 threes. And that's a difference maker when Maley's also hitting her shots. But last night, Maley only had 12 and Shu 16. Still great points, but for them, how massive they were at the semifinals to now, definitely a limiting factor. You had Atwell top score with 19. Chiba had 12. Willie was in there as well. But again, 4 or 5 plays in double figures, but lower digits, where when you compare to the Townsville Fire, you had Woods, she was player of the game, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals. She was insane off pick and roll actions. And for me, sorry, Perth, but I think you need to change the way that you were defending her on pick and rolls. She was picking it apart. Younger people, if you want a very good video on how to come off pick and rolls, go watch Woods from last night. Chef's kiss. It was stunning. Then you had Sowa, who she really turned up. She started hitting her threes, 20 points, 3 rebounds. Froling was great with 17 and 7. And Fowler, although you wouldn't say, okay, her stats were absolutely out of this world, she was so solid. She was huge. She had 12 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. She made rebounds at crucial times. She had a big 3 when it mattered. And she was just in the right spot at the right time for her team. And Ellis, she really stepped up in that second half. She finished with the 11 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. But for me, I can't wait to see what is going to happen next game. Next game is now Sunday. They go back to Perth. Perth now have their home advantage. So another big thing is when you're at home, that is like a 6-man on the floor. That atmosphere that you play with, when you get on runs, get on momentum swings, your crowd gets around you. They help you get over the line. And although the score was 88-79 in Fire's favor, Perth swung it at them a few times. And I don't think they played absolutely the best basketball that I've seen them play all season. So I know both coaches, they're great. They're like chess masters. They're going to make some changes. Perth now have their home fans, their home advantage, but it's do or die now. It's only a 3-game series. And I was speaking with my producer, Taz, off air, and we were saying with how great these teams have been and the quality of basketball, we wish it was a 5-game or 7-game series with just how good this basketball has been from these two teams. But like I said, it's do or die. It's all on the line. Perth, they have to win, and then they have to bring it back to Townsville. So right now, the next game's on Sunday. Both teams would have stayed at Townsville last night, woken up. They'll fly to Perth, I'm guessing, today. So a lot of scout is going to happen. And I think for me, for Perth to get over the line, you need normally they're the people who dictate the pace of the game. They love to run and gun. They need to get defensive stops, and that ignites their offensive transition. We didn't see a lot of that last night. When we did, they were getting easy transition buckets, and that's when it gets them up and about. They can get up into that full court press, potentially go back into their 1-3-1 zone. But I want to see more of that. I'd love to see Ali Wilson just take more of the game on. She's unstoppable in pick and roll actions, and when she's doing her thing, honestly, get her and Han in pick and rolls. Good luck to everyone. And then Atwell, again, great shooter. I'd like to see coming off more stagger screens, but Hanshu, she is the key factor. She needs inside touches and more of it. And I'm going to tell you, even though 3-point percentage was low, it will be high in Perth. I can feel it. And then for Townsville to get this win again, they didn't need to do exactly what they had drawn up. Is one, defense. They were up and in on Perth. They made them go into that half-court game that they don't really want to do. That is more Townsville style, is half-court structure compared to Perth's run and gun full-court game. They also need to win the rebounding count, which they did. That was great. Get O boards as well. That needs to be at least level or not that far off. Both teams looked after the ball pretty well. They had good ball movement, but as well, Townsville, don't second guess your shots. Whatever Perth are giving you, they need to shoot. And that was the difference late in the game. Townsville knew what shots they were taking. They seemed confident. And yes, scoreboard pressure is a thing. But Perth, I feel like, really felt that pressure rise. And then they started to second guess, put up quick shots. So for me, game one, it was Townsville's game at home, 88-79. Now they're going back to Perth. It's anyone's game. They're going to go through the scout. They're going to recover. But like I said, this rivalry is huge. So I cannot wait to see this unfold. Are Townsville going to get it done in two, or will Perth um, grab this with two hands and take it back to Townsville for a game three, which for all of us basketball fans, I really hope it does. But this is where I really feel like in this tight situations, I've said it early on in this show, is Townsville have been able to use, I guess, their calmness and in tight situations have been able to come away with the win. But for me, this is Perth's time to win a championship. They've been so close the last 3 to 5 seasons in semi-finals, in grand finals, and they just haven't been able to take away the win. For me, this is their moment. They have the roster. They have the talent. It is, I feel like it's almost theirs to lose in a sense, but great players, great basketball action. Make sure you all tune in. It's on Sunday, 4 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. It is going to be a fun one. But like I said, guys, so much exciting basketball has been happening in the last couple weeks. So make sure you tune in on all the episodes. And I'll see you next week. It's a Colwell.